welcome back to our channel, fans. Today is a beautiful day to dive deep into the heart-stopping drama of Genoa City, where the past never truly stays buried, and the secrets we try to lock away always find a way to break down the front door. Let us get right into the explosive new developments. She is back, the ghost has returned, the nightmare is breathing their air again. The fragile peace that Abby Winters and Devin Winters have fought so desperately to build has just been shattered into a million irreparable pieces. For months, the specter of Mariah Copeland has loomed over their sprawling estate like a dark, suffocating storm cloud. She was supposed to be locked away. She was supposed to be receiving treatment in a secure psychiatric facility, far away from the innocent life of little Dominic. But the walls of that facility could not hold her forever. Mariah has been discharged, and she has not wasted a single second in making her presence known. She has returned to Genoa City with a singular, terrifying focus. She wants to see Dominic. She wants to see Devin. She wants to see Abby. The sheer audacity of her return is enough to send a cold shiver down the spine of anyone who remembers the harrowing days when Dominic was missing, stolen from his crib by the very woman who gave birth to him. To understand the sheer magnitude of this crisis, we must look back at the agonizing history that binds these three souls together. Abby's journey to motherhood was paved with unimaginable heartbreak. The devastating miscarriages, the shattered dreams, the realization that she could not carry a child of her own. When Devin stepped up to be the biological donor, and Mariah selflessly offered her womb as a surrogate, it was supposed to be a beautiful miracle. It was supposed to be the ultimate act of love and friendship, but the universe had a much darker plan. The trauma of the pregnancy, the isolation, and the overwhelming hormonal and psychological shifts pushed Mariah into a severe postpartum psychosis. She did not just carry the baby, she became dangerously obsessed with him. The kidnapping of Dominic was a trauma that fundamentally altered the DNA of the Winters Newman family. Abby spent days in agonizing terror, staring at an empty crib. Devin felt the primal, terrifying rage of a father who could not protect his own blood. And this is the moment I almost screamed at the screen. The sheer tension of Mariah standing there, looking perfectly calm, perfectly rational, yet demanding access to the child she traumatized them over, is television gold. She did not return as a raving fugitive. She did not return screaming or fighting. She returned with a soft, pleading voice, armed with the most dangerous weapon of all, nostalgia. Mariah stood before Devin and Abby, her eyes welling with tears, and expressed a desperate, profound desire to heal. She spoke of forgiveness. She spoke of second chances. She looked Devin dead in the eye and told him that she truly believes she can still be an important, positive part of Dominic's life. The absolute delusion of her request is staggering, but the emotional manipulation behind it is a masterclass in psychological warfare. For Abby, the reaction is instantaneous and visceral. The Newman lioness is fully awakened. The moment she realizes Mariah is attempting to re-enter their orbit, Abby's maternal instincts kick into absolute overdrive. She becomes a human shield. She is deeply vigilant, her eyes scanning every shadow, her mind racing through every possible worst-case scenario. Abby is absolutely determined to protect Dominic from any disruption, any confusion, and any lingering threat from the past. She refuses to let her son be used as a pawn in Mariah's twisted quest for redemption. Abby's icy resolve is a stark contrast to the emotional hurricane swirling inside her husband. She knows that she cannot just fight Mariah. She must also manage Devin. She must act as the emotional anchor for a man who is rapidly losing his grip on his own convictions. Devin's internal war is agonizing to witness. Just weeks ago, this was a man consumed by burning, righteous fury. He was the one pushing for harsh justice. He was the one furious that Mariah's plea deal kept her out of a concrete prison cell. He was the one who visited her at the psychiatric facility, armed with a handmade get-well card from Dominic, using the child's innocence as a psychological weapon to break Mariah's fragile mind. He pushed her, he broke her, he triggered the hallucination of Ian Ward that sent her running into the night as a terrified fugitive. And now, seeing her standing before him, seemingly lucid but begging for a connection, the crushing weight of his own guilt comes crashing down on him. The air turned to ice, breathing stopped, eyes locked. The past crashed into the present. Devin is paralyzed. The anger that once fueled him has completely evaporated, replaced by a suffocating, debilitating guilt. He looks at Mariah and sees the woman who gave him his son. He sees the woman he mentally pushed over the edge. His resolve to let go of the past, a resolve that Abby had so desperately tried to instill in him, is now violently wavering. He is torn straight down the middle. One half of his heart screams for justice, for the protection of his son, for the safety of his family. The other half bleeds with empathy, with guilt, with the terrifying thought that he is responsible for the permanent fracturing of Mariah's mind. Mariah, sensing this vulnerability, zeroes in on Devon. She is relentless. She uses shared memories of Dominic to manipulate his emotions. She talks about the kicks in the womb. She talks about the first time Devon felt the baby move. She talks about the lullabies they used to sing. Every word is a calculated strike against Devon's armor. She is deliberately evoking the deep, complicated affection they once shared during the surrogacy journey. She knows that Devon is a man ruled by his profound sense of loyalty and family connection, and she is exploiting that weakness with surgical precision. She is not just asking for visitation, she is asking for absolution, and she is demanding that Devon be the one to give it to her. Abby watches the psychological manipulation unfold with mounting horror. She steps in, she pulls Devon back. She tries to support her husband through this massive emotional trigger while simultaneously building an impenetrable fortress around their son. Abby is walking a terrifying tightrope. If she pushes Devon too hard, she risks alienating him, exacerbating the severe marital issues they have already been facing. Remember, Abby recently walked away from Devon because his obsession with vengeance was turning their home into a toxic environment. Now, she must gently guide him back to reality without triggering his defensive anger. She tries to set firm, undeniable boundaries. She tells Mariah that contact is impossible. She tells her that the trauma is too fresh, the risk too high, the history too dark. But Mariah does not easily accept rejection. The tension escalates to a boiling point. Mariah's persistence is terrifying because it is wrapped in a veneer of calm reasoning. She refuses to accept the boundaries Abby and Devon are desperately trying to enforce. She argues that Dominic needs to know where he came from. She argues that her love for the boy is pure. Every time Abby builds a wall, Mariah tries to find a crack in the foundation. The situation forces Devon and Abby to confront the absolute, terrifying limits of their family dynamic. How do you permanently erase the woman who gave birth to your child? How do you sever a biological and emotional tie that was forged in love but corrupted by madness? The psychological depth of this storyline is simply staggering. Devon is a man who has always prided himself on his protective nature. He lost his biological father, he lost his adoptive father, he lost his first child with Hillary. Dominic is his entire world. The thought that his own actions at the facility might have permanently damaged the woman who gave him this child is a guilt too heavy to bear. Mariah is playing on that guilt like a grand piano. She is forcing Devon to look at her not as a kidnapper, but as a victim. A victim of her own mind, a victim of the surrogacy process, and a victim of Devon's cruel psychological tactics at the hospital. Abby, meanwhile, is forced to be the villain in Mariah's story in order to be the hero in Dominic's. She must be the cold, unfeeling Newman who shuts the door on a grieving woman. Abby knows that if she shows even a fraction of an inch of weakness, Mariah will take a mile. Abby's protective instincts are entirely justified. Mariah kidnapped a defenseless infant. She went on the run. She hallucinated a dangerous cult leader. The fact that a psychiatric facility deemed her fit for discharge does not erase the trauma she inflicted on the Winters Newman household. Abby is standing her ground, her posture rigid, her voice unwavering, even as she feels the man she loves crumbling beside her. The standoff leaves a massive, lingering question mark over the future of the Winters estate. They managed to survive the kidnapping. They managed to survive the legal battles. They barely survived Devon's subsequent rage and bitterness. But can their marriage survive the physical return of the woman who started it all? Can Abby keep Devon from falling into Mariah's emotional trap? Devon's struggle between forgiveness and justice is the ultimate test of his character. If he forgives Mariah, he risks alienating his wife and potentially endangering his son. If he pursues justice and shuts her out completely, the guilt of what he did to her at the facility might eat him alive. The boundaries have been drawn, but they are drawn in sand, and the tide of the past is rushing in. Mariah is back in Genoa City, and she is not going anywhere. She is a ticking time bomb of unresolved trauma and desperate maternal longing. Abby and Devon are standing on the front lines of a war they thought they had already won. The battle for Dominic's safety and the battle for Devon's soul has officially reignited. Will Devon's overwhelming guilt lead him to make a catastrophic mistake that shatters his family forever, or will Abby's fierce protection be enough to keep the ghosts of the past at bay?